The night Omodara was born, the sky above Ile Irumole was not like any other. The full moon shone brighter than ever, casting a silver glow over the kingdom. Stars gathered in unusual formations, and the wind whispered secrets only the wise could understand. The elders of the land watched in awe, murmuring among themselves, for they knew that something extraordinary had just happened. Inside the small hut of Abeni, a skilled cloth weaver, cries of a newborn girl echoed through the night. The midwives gasped when they looked into the infant's eyes, blank, unseeing, yet filled with an airy calm. Abeni, exhausted, yet filled with love, reached for her daughter. She is perfect, she whispered. But the eldest midwife, Iya Olubumi, shook her head. This child is different, she said cautiously. She was born blind, yet I feel a presence around her. The Orishas are watching this one. Outside, a lone figure stood at the doorway listening. It was Baba Ifarinu, the greatest diviner of the kingdom. He closed his eyes, pressing his palm against the wooden staff in his hand. He had foreseen this moment, the birth of the child who would change the fate of Ile Rumole. This child, he finally spoke, is not ordinary. She is the one the gods have sent. Abeni's heart pounded, but she is blind. Ifa does not make mistakes, Baba Ifarinu replied. Her eyes do not see, but her soul does. And with that, the prophecy of Omodara began. As Omodara grew, the villagers observed something strange about her. Though she was blind, she moved as though she could see. She never stumbled, never needed a guiding hand. She always knew when someone was near, even before they spoke. By the time she was 5, something even more astonishing happened. She began to dance. It started with a rhythm of the rain. As droplets hit the thatched roof, Omodara would sway, her tiny feet tapping the earth in perfect harmony. One evening, during a village gathering, the drummers played their sacred battle drums. The entire kingdom danced, but Omodara's movement was different. She did not watch others for guidance, nor did she hesitate. She spun, twisted, and swayed as if the music itself was inside her. The villagers stared in stunned silence. How does she do it? They whispered. Even the Kabiyesi, Oba Ideyemi, was intrigued. He turned to Baba Ifarinu. What is the meaning of this? Baba Ifarinu only smiled. She dances with the spirits. They guide her feet. But not everyone was pleased. Princess Morounkeji, the king's only daughter, watched with burning jealousy. How could a mere blind girl capture the attention of the entire kingdom? She vowed that one day she would put an end to Omodara's strange gift. One fateful day, an elder from a neighboring village visited Ile Irumole. He was a renowned drummer, known for playing rhythms that only those blessed by the gods could dance to. Curious, he sought out Omodara. Let me see if she is truly special, he challenged. The king agreed, and a gathering was arranged in the palace courtyard. The drummer began to play, the beats complex and rapid, meant to confuse and test the girl. Omodara stood still for a moment, then, as if possessed by unseen force, she began to move. She twirled, her feet beating against the ground in impossible patterns. Her hands sliced through the air, every motion perfectly synchronized with the drum. Gasps filled the air. The elder dropped his drumstick. This girl is touched by the Orishas, he declared. She is meant for something great. The people of Ile Rumole erupted in celebration, but in a dark corner, Morounkeji clenched her fist. She must not outshine me, she muttered. She must be stopped. The days that followed were filled with tension. Omodara's name was on every tongue. From the poorest farmer to the wealthiest chiefs, the villagers adored her, believing she was a blessing to the land. But in the palace, whispers of doubt began to spread. Is she truly blessed, or is she cursed? Some elders murmured. Oba Adeyemi sat upon the throne, deep in thought. If she was truly a gift from the gods, then she should be honored. But what if she was an omen of something darker? That night, he called for Baba Ifarinu. Tell me, wise one, should we fear her? The king asked. Baba Ifarinu signed. Kabiyesi, the fate of this child is intertwined with the fate of Ile Irumole. If she thrives, so will the kingdom. If she falls, we all fall. The king frowned. And if she is a danger, then it is not her doing, but the doing of those who fear her. Baba Ifarinu replied. The king nodded, but doubt lingered in his heart. In her chambers, Morounkeji listened through a crack in the door. A wicked smile formed on her lips. If she is the kingdom's hope, she whispered, then I will make sure she falls. Morounkeji wasted no time. She began to spread rumors in the palace. She is blind. How can she dance like that? She whispered to the chiefs. Maybe she is not even human. Soon, suspicion grew. Some villagers began to look at Omodara with unease. One evening, as Omodara walked to the market, she overheard a woman whisper, "What if she is a witch?" Her heart ached, but she did not speak. She had always known that her gift would set her apart. That night, she sat alone beneath the great Iroko tree, her fingers tracing the cool earth. Why did the gods make me this way? She whispered to the wind. But deep within, she felt something stir, a voice, ancient and powerful, speaking through the silence. You are not meant to understand, you are meant to dance. A chill ran down her spine. She knew then that her journey had only just begun. At dawn, Baba Ifarinu summoned the king and his chiefs to the sacred grove, a place only entered for matters of great importance. The air was thick with scent of burning herbs as the priest cast sacred divination signs upon the ground. He studied them carefully, his brows furrowing in deep thought. After a long silence, he turned to the king. Kabiyesi, he began, a storm is coming to Ile Irumole. The destiny of this land is tied to the girl Omodara. The chiefs exchanged uneasy glances. The king frowned. What does that mean? Baba Ifarinu's voice was firm. If she tries, the kingdom will rise to greatness. If she falls, calamity will befall us all. A murmur wept through the gathering. Some elders nodded in understanding, while others looked troubled. She is just a blind girl, one of the chiefs argued. How can her fate determine the future of an entire kingdom? Baba Ifarinu shook his head. The gods do not choose randomly. Omodara carries a gift, not meant for her alone, but for all of us. The king sat in deep thought. If Omodara was truly this important, then she needed to be protected. But there were whispers in the palace, voices of doubt and jealousy. And in the shadows, Morounkeji listened. If the girl was so important, then all she had to do was bring her down. Morounkeji knew she couldn't act openly. The villagers adored Omodara, and Baba Ifarinu's prophecy only made her more untouchable. So she planted seeds of doubt. She dances like a spirit. She whispered to the market women, "Is that natural?" She never stumbles. She told the palace guards, "Can a blind person truly move like that?" The whisper spread like wildfire. Soon, people began to fear what they once admired. One evening, a group of young men cornered Omodara on her way home from the river. "Tell us," one of them sneered. "How do you dance so well if you cannot see?" Omodara's heart pounded, but she kept her voice calm. The rhythm guides me. Another man coughed, or maybe you are not really blind. Without warning, he shoved her. Omodara stumbled, but before she could hit the ground, her feet instinctively found balance. The men gasped. She's a witch, one of them shouted. Fear gripped her. She turned and ran, her feet barely touching the earth as she fled toward the safety of home. But she knew this was only the beginning. The king could no longer ignore the unrest. Rumors were spread fast, and even some of his advisors had begun to question Omodara's gift. One evening, he called Baba Ifarinu once more. "What do I do?" the king asked. "The people are turning against her." The old priest signed. "You cannot force them to believe, but you can remind them of who they are." "What do you mean? Have we not always honored the ones touched by the gods? Why should this be different?" The king nodded slowly. It was true. Yoruba tradition revered those blessed by Orunmila, the god of wisdom. If he declared Omodara sacred, no one could dare harm her. But before he could act, another problem arose. A child had fallen mysteriously ill, and some were beginning to blame Omodara. When the girl's fever worsened, her mother wailed through the streets. "She caused my child," she cried. "Ever since she danced, she has not been the same." Some villagers believed her, others were uncertain, but the fear that had been growing now had fuel. A crowd gathered outside Abeni's home, their faces dark with suspicion. "Bring out the girl," someone shouted. Abeni stood at the door, shielding her daughter. "She has done nothing wrong. She must prove it," another voice called. "Let her swear before the gods." The voice grew louder. Stones were thrown. Abeni sobbed as Omodara held her arm tightly. Then the voice of the king rang out. "Enough!" The crowd fell silent as Oba Adeyemi stepped forward, flanked by his guards. "No harm will come to this girl," he declared. "She will stand before the gods and prove her innocence." A murmur spread through the crowd. A trail before the gods. If Omodara was truly blessed, she would survive. If she was not, she would be doomed. The sacred grove of Ogun, the god of iron and truth, was prepared for the trial. It was a dangerous ritual, one that no one could manipulate. A sacred iron pot was filled with burning embers. Omodara would be asked to walk barefoot across them. If she was truly innocent, the gods would protect her. If she was guilty, her feet would burn. The entire kingdom gathered, their eyes fixed on the girl. Abeni wept, but she knew there was no way out. Even the king could not stop a ritual once it was declared. Baba Ifarinu stood beside Omodara. "Do not fear," he whispered. "Trust in your gift." Omodara took a deep breath. Then she stepped forward. The moment her foot touched the embers, the impossible happened. The flames dimmed. The burning coals cooled beneath her feet. A collective gasp swept through the crowd. She walked across as if she were stepping on soft earth, unharmed, untouched. When she reached the other side, the silence was deafening. Then Baba Ifarinu raised his hands. "The gods have spoken," he declared. "Omodara is pure." A deafening cheer erupted from the people. The fear that had consumed them melted away. But in the shadows, Morounkeji's face twisted in rage. She had failed, but she was not done. Just as the people began to embrace Omodara, a new threat emerged. From the distant hills, a man draped in tattered robes arrived in Ile Irumole. His face bore the scars of an old betrayal, and his eyes held the weight of vengeance. It was Adejinle, the king's estranged cousin, years ago. He had been exiled for attempting to usurp the throne, but now he had returned, seeking an opportunity to reclaim what he believed was his. He observed the village carefully, listening to whispers of the blind girl with the mysterious dance. He smirked. "This girl is the key to my return," he murmured. That night, he sought out Morounkeji. "You hate her," he stated. "I can see it in your eyes." Morounkeji stiffened. "And what is it to you?" Adenjinle leaned closer. "What if I told you that together we could destroy her? And when we do, you will have the admiration of the people while I take the throne." Morounkeji hesitated. She had always acted alone, but Adejinle was powerful. His knowledge of dark magic was feared even among the bravest warriors. She nodded. "What do we do?" A wicked grin spread across Adejinle's face. "We strike at her dreams." Omodara felt peace. The people of Ile-Irumole no longer looked at her with suspicion, but with awe. Children followed her, imitating her graceful steps, yet Abeni remained uneasy. One evening, as she prepared a pot of yam porridge, she turned to her daughter, Omodara. "Do not be too comfortable. Enemies lurk in places you least expect." Omodara sighed. "Mama, the people believe in me now. The king himself has declared my innocence." Abeni shook her head. "That does not stop jealousy. It only makes it grow." Her mother's words stayed with her, though she tried to push them aside. But later that night, as Omodara slept, she had a dream unlike any before. She was dancing in an empty field, her feet moving effortlessly, but suddenly the ground beneath her cracked open. A dark wind rose, swallowing the light, and a voice echoed through the emptiness. "You cannot escape your fate." Omodara gasped and woke up in a cold sweat. She knew this was no ordinary dream. Someone was coming for her. Adejinle and Morounkeji worked in secrecy, gathering the most potent charms from deep within the forbidden forest. One evening, Morounkeji approached Omodara wearing a false smile. "Sister," she called sweetly, "I bring you a gift." Omodara hesitated. "A gift?" "Yes, a waist bead made with the finest corals from the river," Morounkeji said, pressing it into her hand. Omodara ran her fingers over the smooth beads, unaware of the dark magic woven into them. That night, she tied the beads around her waist and drifted into sleep. But when morning came, something was wrong. Her legs felt heavy. She tried to stand, but her muscles refused to obey. Panic filled her chest. Abeni rushed to her side. Alarmed, "Omodara, what is wrong?" I, I cannot move my legs." Abeni's face paled. "Who gave you something new yesterday?" Omodara hesitated. "Morounkeji." Abeni's hands trembled with rage. "That girl has done something wicked." She grabbed a knife and stormed out of the hut, heading straight for Morounkeji's home. But Morounkeji was nowhere to be found. She had vanished into the night. The news of Omodara's sudden affliction spread quickly. "She can no longer dance," the villagers whispered. "Perhaps the gods have abandoned her." The same people who once adored her now turned their backs, fearing that she had fallen out of favor with the deities. The king, troubled by the events, summoned Baba Ifarinu once more. "Find a cure," he ordered. "We cannot let darkness claim her." The priest nodded, but he warned, "Kabiesi, this is no ordinary ailment. Someone has cursed her." The king's jaw tightened. "Can it be undone?" Baba Ifarinu's face was grim. "Yes, but it will require great sacrifice." Omodara, despite her condition, remained calm. "Tell me what I must do," she said. The priest handed her a small pouch. "You must journey to the sacred waterfall of Iren Ijesha. Only the purest waters can wash away the curse. But be careful. The spirits of the river do not grant favors easily. Abeni insisted on going with her. Together, mother and daughter set out on the dangerous journey. But unknown to them, Adejinle and Morounkeji had already set a deadly trap. The road to the sacred waterfall was treacherous. Thick forest loomed around them, and strange whispers echoed through the trees. As they neared the waterfall, a woman stepped out from the shadows. Morounkeji. Omodara's heart clenched. You, Morounkeji smiled cruelly. Did you really think I would let you break the curse? Abeni stepped forward protectively. You wicked girl, have you not done enough? Morounkeji laughed. No, not yet. Suddenly, from behind the trees, Adejinle appeared, holding a sharp dagger. The time has come, he declared. Omodara understood. They had not come to stop her, they had come to end her. Abeni's hand tightened around her daughter. Run, she whispered. Omodara hesitated. But Mama, run! Omodara turned and fled toward the waterfall, her legs weak, but her spirit strong. Adejinle lunged at Abeni, but the woman fought fiercely, refusing to let him pass. Omodala reached the sacred water just as Morounkeji grabbed her arm. You will not escape this time. But the moment Omodara's foot touched the water, a brilliant light exploded from the falls. A voice, deep and commanding, filled the air. Enough! Morounkeji and Adejinle screamed as the force of the river knocked them backward, sending them crashing into the trees. The water surrounded Omodara, washing over her body like a gentle embrace. Then something miraculous happened. Her legs, once heavy and lifeless, moved. She stepped forward, strength returning to her limbs. She could dance again. Abeni, bruised but alive, wept with relief. As they turned to leave, the voice from the waterfall spoke once more. This is not the end. Omodara shivered. Somewhere deep within her, she knew her battle was far from over. As Omodara and Abeni prepared to leave the sacred waterfall, the air grew thick with an eerie silence. The trees no longer swayed, and the water, once calm, began to shun violently. The spirits of Erin Ijesha were not done speaking. A deep voice rumbled from the mist. Omodara, you have been chosen, but your enemies still lurk in the shadows. Omodara fell to her knees. Who are you? We are the keepers of destiny. You were never meant to be ordinary. Your dance is not just for men to admire, it is for the gods to behold. Abeni, still shaking from the attack, clutched her daughter's hand. What must she do? The battle is not over. The voice warned. Morounkeji and Adejinle will not stop until darkness consumed Ile Irumole. But you, Omodara, hold the light. Omodara's heart pounded. How do I fight them? Return to the village. Dance beneath the moonlight in the king's courtyard. When you do, the truth will be revealed, and the wicked shall be judged. With that, the mist cleared, and the waterfall resumed its peaceful flow. Omodara knew what she had to do. Back in Ile Irumole, news spread that Omodara had returned, healed and strong. The people gathered in the palace, eager to witness her dance once more. Even the king was present, seated on his grand stool, his eyes filled with hope. But in the crowd, Adejinle and Morounkeji stood hidden, their faces masked with false smiles. This will be her final performance, Adejinle whispered. Once she begins, we strike. Morounkeji smirked. She would never see it coming. The drums began to beat. Omodara, dressed in pure white, stepped into the courtyard. The moment her feet touched the earth, a powerful energy surged through the air. She moved with divine grace, her body weaving stories through the rhythm. The villagers watched in awe, but something strange was happening. As she danced, Dark shadows rose from the ground, revealing hidden truths. One by one, illusions shattered. The villagers gasped as they saw visions. Adejinle scheming to steal the throne, Morounkeji poisoning Omodara, the cursed waste beads woven with wickedness. The king rose in fury. Traitors! Adejinle's face twisted in horror. This is witchcraft. But the spirits of Irene Ijesha had spoken. The truth was no longer hidden. Adejinle and Morounkeji tried to escape, but the king's warriors seized them before they could flee. The people cried out in anger. They cursed an innocent girl. They tried to kill her. The king's face darkened. You plotted against my throne, against the gods themselves. What do you have to say? Adejinle sneered. Do not be foolish, Kabiesi. You think she is special? She is just a blind girl with tricks. Omodara took a deep breath and stepped forward. If I am nothing, then why do the gods speak through me? As she spoke, the wind howled and the sky rumbled. The spirits had come to witness the judgment. Baba Ifarin raised his staff. Adejinle, Morounkeji, you have angered the deities. Your punishment shall not come from man, but from the gods. A powerful force swept through the palace. Adejinle screamed as his body twisted, his limbs stiffening like a tree. Within moments, he had turned into a lifeless statue of stone. Morounkeji fell to her knees. Please, mercy. But the spirit showed none. The ground beneath her cracked open. The dark hands reached out, pulling her into the depths of the earth. Silence fell. The enemies of Omodara were no more. With the wicked defeated, peace returned to Ile Irumone. The king approached Omodara, his expression filled with respect. You are no ordinary girl, Omodara. The gods have chosen you. Omodara smiled. I only did what destiny called me to do. The villagers, once doubters, now adored her. Mothers named their daughters after her. The children imitated her steps. She had become a legend. That night, under the full moon, the people gathered for a great festival. Omodara stood in the center of the village, her heart full of gratitude. As the drums began, she danced, not for men, not for praise, but for the gods who had guided her. The moon shone brighter than ever before, and a soft whisper echoed through the air. Well done, child of destiny. The spirits were pleased. Years passed, but Omodara's story never faded. She continued to dance, teaching young girls the sacred movements. Her name carried power, and her legacy spread beyond Ile Irumole. Even the king honored her, declaring a festival in her name every year. But Omodara never let pride consume her. She remained humble, always remembering the lessons her journey had taught her. One day, as she sat by the river with Abeni, her mother smiled. You have brought honor to our lineage, my child. Omodara reached for her mother's hands. I could not have done it without you, Mama. As the sun set over Ile Irumole, the village echoed with laughter and music. And in the wind, the spirits of Irene Ijesha whispered once more, destiny is not for the chosen alone. It is for those who dare to embrace it.